I was conducting a leadership development workshop at one of the Indian multinational companies in southern part of India, an organization deeply rooted in traditional values. For years, the unspoken belief was simple: let the work speak for itself. Keep your head down. Don't look for any validation by talking about your work. But the organization had just gone global. And with that, the narrative had shifted. Now the message was, who else other than you will speak about your work? Start blowing your trumpet. The loudest and the brightest is visible. And what's visible gets attention. Work on your executive presence. During the lunch break, I had a series of quiet one-on-one conversations. Leaders came up to me one by one and said, Bhaskar, our English is not that fluent. Bhaskar, we have a strong mother tongue influence. When we speak in global meetings, we don't feel heard. Our work is solid, but our presence is not noticed. And there was something deeper, a sense of anxiety, because the organization, with its ambitious growth plan, had started hiring leaders from outside. People who could speak confidently, present well, engage global stakeholders, and suddenly, long-time veterans were left wondering, where does that leave us? I was reflecting on this during the break. When we resumed, I shared a simple metaphor. In Tamil, I said, Kudathilitta vilakku, a lamp placed inside an earthen pot, covered on all sides except the top. When I asked them, what is the use of a lamp inside a pot? Many of them responded saying it gives light, but only to itself. It does not fulfill its purpose of lighting the path of others. And then they also reflected loud. For years we believed if my boss knows what I am doing, that is enough, which is equivalent to its lighting only to the top. But today, it's time to take the lamp out of the pot and allow it to shine brighter. Let's clear one myth right at the start. Executive presence is not about perfect English. It is not about accent. It is not about sounding global. And it is definitely not about becoming someone else. Executive presence is about impact. And I like to simplify this into 4 elements. Presence equal to clarity, confidence, connection, credibility. Let's unpack this. Clarity. Do people understand what you're saying? Not just the words, but the thinking behind those words. Clarity is about structuring your thoughts, getting to the point, making your message easy to follow. Because if people get confused, they get disengaged. Confidence. Do people feel your conviction? Confidence is not about volume. It's not about dominating the room. It's about believing in your perspective, speaking with intention, holding your space. Even a simple sentence spoken with conviction can carry more weight than a complex idea delivered with hesitation. Connection. Do people feel included in the conversation? Presence is not a monologue. It is an experience you create with others. Connection shows up as listening deeply, inviting perspectives, acknowledging contributions. Because people don't just want to hear you, they want to feel heard by you. Credibility. Do people trust what you say? Credibility comes from consistency between words and action, depth of understanding, integrity in how you show up. Over time, credibility becomes your reputation in the room before even you speak. So when these 4 components come together, clarity, confidence, connection, credibility, that's when presence is felt. Not forced, not performed, but experienced. You can speak simple English and still have powerful presence. You can have a strong accent and still command respect. Because executive presence is not about polish. It is about how you make people think, feel, and trust when you show up. Why executive presence becomes critical now? In a local context, your work may speak for itself. But in a global context, your work must be amplified because Decisions are made across geographies. Visibility is distributed. Perception shapes opportunity. And here's the reality. If your work is not visible, it is often not valued. Not because it lacks quality, but because it lacks presence. This is not unfair. It is simply the nature of scale. Where leaders struggle. Let's acknowledge the real struggles. Language anxiety. Oh, I'm not fluent enough. But presence is not about vocabulary. It's about clarity of thought. Fear of judgment. What will people think of me if I speak up? But silence often gets interpreted as lack of confidence, lack of clarity, lack of ownership. Let's also explore cultural conditioning. Old paradigm versus new reality. I was taught not to self-promote. Yes, but there is a difference between arrogance and articulation. One is ego, the other is responsibility. In today's world, not speaking about your work does not make you humble, it makes you invisible. What I call as the silent meeting syndrome. Let me bring in something deeper here. Many of us growing up might have heard this line at home. When adults are speaking, this is no place for children. Go out and play or stay silent. Don't interrupt. Don't ask questions. And it made sense at that time because adults meant wisdom, authority, experience. But here is what's interesting. That belief doesn't disappear. It travels with us. Into boardroom, into meeting rooms, into leadership conversation. Only now the definition of adults has changed. In corporate life, adults become people senior to us, people above our pay grade, people with more experience, or sometimes simply people with grey hair or no hair. And if you have few grey hairs yourself, you're not still sure whether you are the adult or still waiting for permission to speak. And for many of us, especially millennials, we find ourselves in an interesting place. We are sitting in meetings thinking, should I speak or should I not? Because above us, there are senior leaders. Below us, there is Gen Z who are already speaking confidently, and we feel slightly sandwiched between experience and expression. So what do? We stay silent. Not because we don't have ideas, but because somewhere deep inside a voice says, maybe this is not my place to speak. Let's go back to the metaphor. Lamp inside the pot. Your capability is the light, but if it is hidden, it cannot serve others. Executive presence is not about showing off. It's about making your thinking visible, making your contribution accessible, making your value understandable. It is an act of service. In many of my sessions, I offer a simple shift. Move from, I hope they notice my work, to, I will help them understand my work. Here are the 3 practical levers. Structure your thinking. Before you speak, ask, what is that one key message I want to land? Clarity creates confidence. Second, speak early, not perfectly. Don't wait to say the perfect thing. Say the first version of your thinking, refine as you go. And third, invite engagement. End with, what are your thoughts? How do you see this? Presence grows when conversation becomes two-way. After that workshop, something interesting happened. A few weeks later, I received messages from these participants. One of them wrote, Bhaskar, I spoke up in a global call today. My English was not perfect, but my point was clear, and for the first time, people responded to me. Another one said, I realized I was hiding behind humility. Now I am learning to express my work without hesitation. And one message stayed with me. I have taken the lamp out of the pot. Not louder, not artificial, just more visible, more intentional, more present. Here is your experiment for this week. In your next meeting, speak once in the first 10 minutes. Share one clear point. Ask one question. That's it. Don't overcomplicate it. Consistency builds presence. If you would like to go deeper into this journey, here are some of the powerful reads that you can lay your hands on. Sylvia Ann Hewlett wrote this book called Executive Presence, a classic on gravitas, communication, and credibility. Another one you can try is Amy Cuddy's Presence, on how body language shapes confidence and perception. Barbara Minto's The Pyramid Principle is a must read for structured thinking and communication. Talk Like TED by Carmine Gallo on storytelling and engaging communication. And here's my favorite, Kim Scott's Radical Candor for balancing clarity and care in conversation. Every key on the keyboard of leadership unlocks a different capability. Today we explored E, executive presence, because leadership is not just about doing great, it is about ensuring that your work creates impact. And impact requires visibility. So take the lamp out of the pot and let it shine.